Hi everybody, Nightmare on Scam Street here. When you think of auditors, people tend to think of the United States, and they tend to think of First Amendment auditors who go around with cameras and microphones and lights and go into police stations and city halls and courthouses, trying to make sure that their First Amendment rights are respected and recording videos. Now, the interesting thing is that America isn't alone. There are plenty of auditors around the world, and I'm going to do a series on various auditors in the European field. I'm going to start with an auditor from the UK called Marti Blagborough. Marti's been doing auditing for quite a few years, and I'm surprised how well informed this chap is. So let's have a quick look at one of his videos.
Stop raising your hands at me.
I'm not raising my hand.
That's fine, I'll step back from you now.
No, you're banned from this building. Not allowed in here.
Says who?
Says the council.
Where? Where does it say this?
They've posted it out. They've posted it out to your house. Yeah.
You're a bit late on board with that, aren't you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They posted it.
Yeah, right.
They've been posted it. I was supposed to get it.
We tried giving him it earlier on. He wouldn't take it.
And then we went to give him
tried
one
to give him
today,
it
they
earlier
didn't
on.
want to take it, so they got the post.
He never said what it was, he was just trying to give me a bit of junk mail.
So you have been to his house?
No, they
posted
posted
it.
it to his house.
From the council.
Maybe we need to find where these guys... You understand that this situation is only going to get worse. There's 7 people today, tomorrow it'll be 50.
Excuse me, officer, is there an active, some sort of restraining order, dispersal order, anything like that that states I shouldn't be here?
I'm not aware of anything that's going on out here. All I know is there's some suspicious people in here wearing masks.
Is that an offence?
Suspicious, is it?
Well, it's pretty suspicious, isn't it? If it's not
Did you
Halloween.
call Batman suspicious? Come on.
I think there's 2 suspicious people in here and they're both wearing masks. Yeah. I'm not calling them suspicious, am I?
Got the thug gang sign as well, guys.
It's the first time I've noticed this. The thin blue line corrupting the Union flag. This is just as much an insult to British people as the thin blue line in the American flag is to American people. It's just simply wrong.
You haven't
Pointing
got
that
no
out.
authority to use force to remove me. You tried doing this the other day and it resulted in an assault.
Stay on it, innit, mate?
To use force to remove me. You tried doing this the other day and it resulted in an assault.
Stay on it, innit, mate? Stay on it. Whoa, 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 no one's touching him, mate. Not a chance. No one's touching him. No one's putting hands on him, mate. It's a civil matter, bro. You're not putting your hands on him. You're not putting your hands on him. Stay back behind me. That's fine.
It's him who's been aggressive in front of the kid.
Understood. Absolutely.
We all know what you're trying to do, right? But there is kids and they're innocent.
Okay.
Understood.
Whenever you think of us, let's start here.
So instead of telling us, tell them to keep hands off.
Yeah, but just watch the kids, you know, right? That's all
Do your
I'm
job.
saying. Just watch the kids.
Nobody's sworn.
They're innocent at the end.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa, have you seen this, guys? Have you seen this violence? Get your arm, tell him to get his arm off me. I'm walking out, get your arm off me. Big fat fuck, get off me now. Get off me, get off me, get off me.
Eyes on floor, move back, come on!
Absolute thugs. Thugs and violence. Thugs.
Get off him!
He's outside. Get off him now!
He's outside.
Get off. We're outside, not in there. What do you think you're doing?
Get off me!
Repeatedly assaulting people.
So on the surface it might seem that First Amendment auditing in the US and what we have to call photographic auditing in the UK are very similar. The differences of course are that there's no constitution in Britain, so there's no amendments. What there are is laws, and there's a lot of them, and they've been around for a long time, and some of them are quite old but still in effect. But what Marti did, which I think is very laudable of him, he spent 2 years learning about the law as it pertained to public photography, because that's what the audits are about in Britain, it seems, is based on the principle that photography is not a crime. p.i.n.a.c. Photography is not a crime, and public photography is not a crime. And people in Britain probably have the same expectation of privacy in public as people in the US do. But the police don't always see it that way. There's a website that Marti used to teach himself about the law, I guess, called legislation.gov. And there's also the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, or PACE, which is how the police are allowed to apply the law. So effectively this rules when they're allowed to ask you for identification, what they have to do if they're going to arrest you, the whole idea of having a suspicion that a crime is afoot or is about to be committed. So the reasonable articulable suspicion actually counts in Britain as well. There's a lot of laws in Britain which are very old but still in force. It's quite difficult to know what laws apply, and that's where Marti has actually managed to coach himself really quite well, I believe. It hasn't stopped him getting into trouble though, and that's the problem with interpreting the law. Sometimes perception is law rather than the actual wording of the law. It's how it's perceived. So after exchanging a few emails, Marti was very gracious and allowed me to interview him over the phone. He also gave permission for me to use the recording and any clips of videos that he had on his site. I started off by asking him how he first became interested in auditing.
Yep, it will have been around 2009 to 2010.
Yeah.
Where I started watching Charlie Veach and Danny Shine. And what these were doing wasn't what I were doing now, but it was the first time that highlighted to me that the whole using cameras in public was somehow an issue to some people. I just eventually one day I was walking over a road actually, and a police officer stopped me, and he wasn't happy with how I walked over the road.
He walked funny,
but yeah, I don't know. I must have been hopping and skipping, mate. I don't know. So I pulled my phone out and recorded him. And
while he was talking to you, just to clear up.
Yeah, while he was talking to me, and I saw the reaction, and I saw him cower, and he didn't want the camera there. He did everything in his power to get rid of that camera, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something about it, and I did. I took a couple of years watching and educating myself.
Yeah.
And then I just jumped into it, went out with my camera, and to be fair, I love it. So primarily, I started with the Americans, Auditors.
Okay.
I can't remember a lot of names, but there were people such as Mexican Padilla, and a guy from Houston as well. I can't remember his name. A lot of them have gone now. There's new people in the circle, isn't there? But and I thought that I need to check out the UK here, because obviously all these laws are different. The way that they can speak to the police is completely different to what I can do. So it was a mixture of things. I think a mixture of YouTube, Google. At one point, I was in talks with Rob Warner, who crime bodges.
I've seen Crime Bodge, yeah. I've seen quite a few of his videos. When you were learning stuff, how could you verify that what you were learning from Google or YouTube was in fact what was real and not just someone else's opinion? That's something I'm interested in.
So I would just cross-reference all the information with legislation.gov,
right?
Which is obviously the website over here that's got all those laws on it.
Okay.
I basically doing that. Yeah, I downloaded and I got myself full copies of all the relevant laws, all the PACE.
Just a quick note here: PACE is short for the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, and it's at 1984 apparently. Now, this act and its amendments are what guides the police in when they're allowed to stop people, what they're allowed to do when they've stopped them, when they can ask for ID, that sort of thing. It's like the guidelines that interface the public and the police and the laws.
all the terrorism laws, etc., etc. And I've got all these into a big binder folder, so I could reference them at any point.
All right. So you really did this properly.
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
I
And
mean,
I wanted
'cause
to make sure that when I went out there,
you were
I was
armed.
prepared and I wasn't putting myself at risk. Yeah.
But even with the best self-training, it's not always easy. As auditors in America have found out, sometimes the police take exception to the silliest of things. And we come back to this saying, perception is law. It doesn't necessarily mean that the law is totally and utterly fairly applied. Sometimes it's applied purely based on a gut reaction to something that's said or done.
So guys, yesterday morning, police turned up at my house. 2 police officers and 1 PCSO. Why did they turn up to my house, you may be thinking? To arrest me. Why else did they turn up to my house? So the reason being for the arrest, guys, is none other than the Compton Centre peaceful protest on the 12th of July. Now, I've been placed on bail till the 23rd of November, pending charge from the Crown Prosecution Service for using the words, get this, last time it was the words Muppet and scum. This time it is the words, are you ready for this? Drum roll. Coward and thug.
But you see, I've seen countless American YouTube auditors who still have all the ammunition, yet it's getting that the police don't give a shit anymore.
Yep.
Is turning into a bit of a rat's nest at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
you've seen it yourself, have you? Yeah.
You can just see it, can't you? It's like it started off with the police actually probably genuinely being educated about these things.
Yeah.
But now they do know about them. You're just getting in the way. They,
Yeah.
like you said, they don't give a shit. Especially in America, they have so much more power than they do here. You know.
So you read up on the laws, the anti-terrorism, PACE, and stuff like that. So PACE is quite important, isn't it? It's almost like the join between the public and the police, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
it's the very thin line that's left between, is what I call it. It's that they go to, they can almost pick any random law and slightly manipulate it to suit themselves at that moment in time.
Right. What about, you'll have knowledge of this that I don't, the stop and identify. How is that just now? Because obviously in the States, different states have different laws and different rules.
Yeah.
Some counties are stop and identify, some are
Yep.
identify only after I've been arrested and that sort of thing. So
Yeah. So basically over here it's okay. I mean, I nor any of my friends get routinely stopped by the police or anything. I personally haven't been just randomly stopped by the police for many number of years. But the way that it does work is, yeah, you don't have to give them anything basically. It's not far off the states. They have to have reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime, about to commit a crime. That doesn't count for. It's very recently, I would go back about 8 weeks, a new law was brought into power because of the high number of knife crime incidents that we're having in the country at the moment. It's a bit of an epidemic.
is it
So,
really? Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah, it's quite bad, mate. All little kids thinking they're carrying around knives and stuff. And
They're thinking everybody else is, so I'm going to protect myself.
yeah, and then it leads to a fight, and then a fight pulls out a knife, and then some poor guy loses his life. It brings into force this code, and it'll apply to a full area. So, for example, let's say there's a section 50 in force in, say, northwest Leeds. Then any person who is in there, they can be stopped, searched. You still don't have to give your names or anything like that, but the police do not have to give you any sort of reason at all.
So if you're just walking along the street with a couple of buddies and the police pull up beside you, they can say, we're just going to check you for weapons, guys, and that's it.
That's it,
You
basically,
can't say
yeah.
no, because there is
No,
a law
if you decline, then you're going to be arrested for obstructing a constable in execution of his duties.
All right. and then presumably that'll lead to a trivial charge, but certainly one that carries illegal implications, like a
You'd go to court and you'd get fined.
yeah. But you also get a record.
Yeah, you get a criminal conviction from it nonetheless, yeah.
Yeah. So, out of the videos that you've made, and I'm actually looking on your YouTube page right now.
Yeah.
There's quite a few on here. Which one would you say most represents the type of things that you do, or the things that you? Which is your favourite video? Which is the one that you would think? Oh,
My favourite video, personally, is actually the Capita video when I went to Capita and did an audit, and I proved what I'd been saying for like the last 2-3 years, and other people have been saying that I'm wrong, that when you go on to private property,
yeah.
once they say leave, you have to leave. This is what everyone's perception is in this country, but it's not.
With you guys from earlier,
You what?
Gun Squad.
Do you recognise yourself?
I'm not on there, mate.
Oh no, you're in my folder. I ain't got you out. Maybe later.
Alright.
Can I help you with anything?
Well, you shouldn't really be on it.
Says who?
It's
I've come to educate you because you're actually wrong.
private side.
This is a publicly accessible area under Section 32 of the Criminal Justice Act 1974.
Oh, that's fine.
And yeah, you can't do no. So we're here in masses. There's not only us either, there's more people around. And we're going to make a statement. We're going to make sure that you guys get educated. You can't just keep abusing members of the public.
Yeah, apparently we're abusing members of the public, right?
Absolutely. Alright, man. I'm good, bro, I'm good.
You're abusing members of the public? Apparently so, mate, yeah.
Well, abusing people's rights. Not people per se, but being abusing people's
So
rights.
he said people and he's already backtracked that said people's rights.
Yeah.
No, they've never even met me, you know what I mean?
No, but we've seen you on the videos, though, haven't we? So we know who you are.
You show me on your videos.
My videos, no, somebody else's videos.
Well, which videos?
You should know when you've had cameras on your face, shouldn't you? It won't be.
I've never had this before in my life.
Really?
I tell you for fact, never.
Let me just check these photos because I think I recognise you. Where are the photos, Danny?
Blue folder, I think.
Where are my photos, guys?
Yeah, well,
Oh, he's got a folder. See if my folder trumps his folder.
Hey, what do you know?
I'm not bad, buddy, are you?
Yeah, not bad. Right. Unfortunately, this is private property.
Yeah, it's also accessible by the public under Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act 1974.
But unfortunately, you're not allowed to video. This is private
Says,
property.
yeah, but what law? What law? I don't care about your little rules. What law that trumps my rights?
Right, if you just give us a second.
Yeah.
No point.
worries. No.
No point thinking.
No.
We're just following what we're being
Absolutely,
told, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
We're just doing the job. You want to have a look? I'm trying to show you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've seen all these things.
What, you've seen these, have you?
Yeah. I checked it out myself.
Right,
I know
so
where your property is. I know where the boundaries
our
are.
boundaries are. Where that roundabout is there.
Yeah.
That's our
I'm not denying it.
So, unfortunately, you're not allowed to do what you're doing on this land.
You'll find that the Criminal Justice Act says that I can, and it trumps your rules, and it trumps your property guide, it trumps your property as well. Because you see, only do I cross a gated, barriered, restricted area do I actually cross into what is deemed no longer suitable for the public. However, when there's no barrier and I'm allowed to freely, by payment or otherwise, or accessible, it's covered by the Criminal Justice Act.
Right. As you're aware, we've got a nursery.
Right. So what am I? You trying to say I'm a paedophile?
No, I'm not.
You're gonna go there?
You just bear with us, right? No point. Whatever I say, you're just going to overturn.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be thinking, right? We've got a college, we've got a nursery.
Yeah.
You know, you was videoing and one thing and another, taking photos.
It's not illegal. It's not illegal.
What we'll do is we'll ring police.
Do that. I'm ready for him. I'm ready.
I don't understand what.
We have rights. We have rights, and we're not going to let people walk. But it is accessible by the public. It is accessible by the public. Do you want to see the law? I've got my laws here. If you want, my laws mean more than yours.
Private property sign there. The
the boundaries line.
I understand. I'm not disputing the ownership of the land.
You know,
what I'm disputing is the rights and the law in the United Kingdom say that anywhere.
The sign you've just referred me to.
Is exercising another one of his rights that he has.
I've been out lots of pictures on your jacket.
That's another one of my rights as well, guys.
You just referred me to this sign and it actually states that this footpath is open, so what's your problem with me standing here?
It is, it's accessible to the shopping centre, look.
Yeah, from staff. Come from that
Where does it say from staff? It don't exactly, it don't. It don't.
Yeah, but if you did say that, would you?
No, 'cause it's just a rule, it's not a law. I abide by the laws, you see. I'm not a criminal. We were just here to get some photos and stuff after one of his friends were mistreated yesterday, visiting the site.
Sorry to hear that.
Can you just turn your badge around for us, please,
Yeah,
mate,
of
so
course
we know who we're talking to?
Yeah, you can see both of them. Lads.
Cheers,
See
man.
both of them.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thank
worries.
you.
Listen, I'm fully appreciative of people who at the protests. You've no arguments with me.
Quite a protest, but I get your point, could be.
Yeah, you've breached the boundary line, so it's a bit of a protest, isn't it?
It's just an exercise, mate.
Yeah, exercise.
100%, that's fine, that's actually, but it is a bit of a protest. Breaching somebody's
I get
boundary
you.
line, it is a protest in fact, isn't it?
I don't know. I'd argue that's your boundary line.
Is it what you just said is the boundary line, is it? Is that what you just said?
Okay.
What about we show you what is the legally the boundary
I've
line?
seen it, but what I also know is that under Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act 1974, we have a right to access any public place that is open and accessible at the material time on payment or otherwise. Now this area is accessible by the public place.
Okay.
So it's scheduled by that act. Okay. I wouldn't cross your boundaries because that to me says we don't want people to cross that point.
Yeah.
But
So why are you here today? Is there a reason?
Because because these three members of staff yesterday mistreated a friend of mine and colleague. So we've come to show support that just because that any disrespect meant, just because people are in some position of authority, i.e. a security guard, they can't tell somebody to do something that they have a legal right to do. That's the only quarrel.
He was told he had no rights. That's incorrect.
I acknowledge your rights, 100%. I'm fully aware of where we stand. We're not here to try to assist you.
Is there any way that you could potentially tell us what the issue is with the photography? Why?
I've no issue with it. I can see I've been recorded on more than one camera at this time. I have no problem being recorded.
Yeah.
Fully aware of
I didn't mean your person. I meant more like the site's issue.
I think it's just because we have children on site, we have vulnerable people on site, and we're just wondering. We're just trying to protect them. So
to involve the guys. And that's what maybe they could need a little highlight.
That's what I was coming down for, Marty. That's what I was coming down for, to sort of see, look, if there's anything, if the complainant wants to come to me, as the operations manager, we can address any.
I think maybe
works quite well.
I think so.
That's what we need. That
now that we've got your details, we can pass them on to her.
This lad, isn't he?
More than likely.
But yeah, I think that's what we need. That level of communication.
100%. And
This is something that I have so much trouble, and sometimes I can have sleepless nights thinking about it. I'm thinking, am I doing something that's worth doing? Am I actually having a positive effect? Is anything that I'm doing gonna help bring any change?
Yeah.
And if I'm being fully honest and brutal, it's like I think to myself, maybe not, Marty, maybe not, But on the other side of it, I think that the amount of people that have contacted me, and said, "Oh, I really like what you're doing, Marty," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The people that have never, gone out and picked up a camera, have never stuck up for the rights in their life, are now doing it because of me. I've had 80-odd-year-old people contact me, "Marty, I'd love to come out with you, mate. I love what you're doing."
So you are making a difference.
Countrywide. Say that again, bud.
So you are making a difference.
Absolutely, I am making a difference. Yeah.
You don't just do this as a job.
No.
This is a hobby,
No.
I guess.
Yeah, I work full time. I do house renovations. I work for my friend's dad's company, and we basically work for different letting agencies.
Okay.
And we'll go into a landlord's house, and we'll make it from the old raggedy thing to a brand new shiny house.
Something that looks pretty for renting out or leasing or whatever.
Work's picked up so much. It was a brand new start-up company.
Yeah.
And now we're constantly busy. We haven't got 5 minutes to eat his food. And I've just had a new baby as well.
Oh,
So
well done, congratulations.
thank you very much. And so yeah, I've got a lot of time all now, so it's just really weekends.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity, and even then, I'm not tired through the week. I just want to chill out with family.
Okay. And what does your wife think about what you do?
She likes it. She's fine. I think she likes the idea that I'm trying to do something decent. She got a bit more funny about it when I started getting in a bit of trouble with law.
Yeah.
And I said, just look, babe, you'll see. Watch when we go to court. It's nothing. They're not going to lock me up and put me in jail for it.
Or did you just get a little fine, or just a slap on the wrist or something?
Yeah, I just got fines, mate. They kept on giving me fines. They gave me a bit of probation, so I had to go and meet with this guy once a fortnight for absolutely no purpose at all. It was pointless.
Okay, mate. Listen, I've got enough. I'm going to make. I can see a really nice story, and certainly a good video out of this. Can I use any clips of your videos?
Yeah, of course you can. Help yourself.
Thanks. Okay, Marty. Well, that's been brilliant. I've really appreciated the chat.
Sure thing. Absolutely.
Okay, Marty. Have a great time, mate. Look after yourself.
You too.
So that was the first in what I hope is going to be a series of interviews with auditors in Europe. I think we've demonstrated that auditing is not only in America. Auditing happens all over the place. I have to say a huge thank you to Marti Blagborough for agreeing to the interview and agreeing for me to share his videos. Please go and look on his site and subscribe, and he's got some good videos on there. I'll put a link in the description so that you can go and subscribe to his page. So thank you for watching, and I'd just like to say it finally, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Costs nothing and it makes the whole world better. Thanks for watching.